He just wanted to play basketball. But at 12 years old and already 6'6", the HOA labeled him a threat. Led by Meredith Cole, the board tried to turn his height into a crime, hiding prejudice behind flimsy safety rules. But Jeremiah Davis stood tall. He walked into their meeting and, with one calm voice, shattered the silence that had protected their bias. And just wait until you see the twist that followed, and how justice finally took the spotlight. It started like any other Saturday in Whispering Pines, a neighborhood where hedges were trimmed like military haircuts and mailboxes got polished before Sunday service. The sun had just begun peeling itself over the rooftops, wearing that pale gray-blue robe that always made everything feel softer, quieter. In the kitchen, Eleanor Davis stood at the sink, still wrapped in her plaid robe, the kind that said, "No coffee yet. Proceed at your own risk." She cradled an empty mug, staring at nothing, just listening for the kettle to scream. The house was quiet, that kind of peace that only exists for a moment before something breaks it. And break it did. 3 sharp, evenly spaced knocks hit the front door. Not polite, not friendly, just official. The kind of knock that assumes it has the right to interrupt your life. The kind that makes your pulse skip before you even know why. Before Eleanor could move, Jeremiah was already on his way. Barefoot, 6 feet 6 inches, and 12 years old. He moved like a shadow, silent but certain. His presence filled every space he passed, not because of noise, but because of something deeper. He looked more like a serene warrior than a middle schooler, wearing a faded Jurassic Park t-shirt that barely fit and gray sweatpants threatening to become capris. He opened the door. There they were, Meredith Cole and Richard Harmon, the HOA duo. Meredith, the self-appointed queen of suburban order, stood slightly ahead. Her smile was all plastic and strain, a face trying too hard to hide its soul. Rick stood behind like a backup dancer who never got his solo. Meredith had to tilt her head to meet Jeremiah's eyes, but she did what people like her always do when they feel small. Pretend they're not. "We need to speak with the adult of the household," she said, each word clipped like scissors. Jeremiah blinked once. No change in his calm demeanor. No sass, no grin. Just fact. "I am the adult." Meredith froze. For a moment. Just a second. You could see her operating system crash and reboot. Rick coughed, the universal male signal for abort mission, and took a half-step back. Eleanor finally appeared, her gaze sharp with both curiosity and warning. She took in her son, then Meredith, who had suddenly found something urgent on her clipboard. "Can I help you?" Eleanor asked. Not rude, not friendly, just done. Meredith composed herself. "Yes," she said sweetly, poison underneath. "We're here about your son. There have been complaints." "Complaints," Eleanor echoed, flat. "Yes," Meredith continued, her smile tightening. "Some neighbors are concerned about his presence." "Presence," Eleanor repeated again, this time with just enough edge. Jeremiah didn't move. Not a flinch. But Eleanor noticed the slight twitch in his fingers. That was it. No shouting. No accusations. Just an HOA knock, a mother's instinct, and a boy judged for existing. That afternoon, a letter arrived. No return address, but the HOA seal screamed its authority. "Your son intimidates neighbors. Children feel afraid. Adults feel unsafe." Eleanor read it 3 times. The words didn't change. Intimidating? Jeremiah? The same boy who cried watching a Pixar movie last week, who still slept with the light on when it stormed. He was tall. That was it. By 3 p.m., Eleanor was at the HOA office, a repurposed closet behind the community pool. It smelled like old rules and older carpet. Karen, sorry, Meredith, sat across from her, playing the role of genteel martyr. "We've had several reports," she said gently. "People say he's imposing." "Imposing how?" Eleanor asked. "It's not that he does anything," Meredith soothed. "It's his presence. The way he walks. The way he stares. It feels aggressive." Eleanor's fists clenched. "You mean the way he exists?" Meredith blinked. Caught. "There's a difference," she murmured, "between growing and looming." Eleanor stood, voice calm, eyes blazing. "And there's a difference between parenting and profiling." She walked out. No slamming, no yelling, just the solid sound of her heels echoing like a warning. That night, at dinner, Jeremiah picked at spaghetti like it might bite him back. "Do you think I scare people just by being me?" he asked, too quiet. Eleanor's heart cracked. She circled the table, pulled him into a hug. You scare small-minded people, she whispered. Not because of who you are, because of how little they are. 3 days later, a new sign appeared at the basketball court. Children over 5 feet 10 inches must be accompanied by an adult. Jeremiah saw it, said nothing, grabbed his ball, went to shoot hoops. 10 minutes later, he returned, dry-eyed, silent. Mr. Pierce said I couldn't play without a parent, he said. Eleanor didn't ask. She stormed to the court. The sign glared back. No unruly kids. No vandals. Just tall kids. She took pictures. Wide shot. Close up. Crime scene documentation. That evening, Jeremiah sat on the couch, unmoving. Not broken. Just used to it. Eleanor sat beside him. Said nothing. Just placed her hand on his shoulder. The silence was loud. That Friday, Eleanor and Jeremiah walked into the HOA meeting at 6:58 p.m. Every head turned. Jeremiah had to duck under the doorway. His presence sucked the air from the room. Meredith stood. This is a private meeting. He's 12, Eleanor said. He's here to respond to the complaints. Karen blinked. Rick stared at his hands. No one backed her. Jeremiah stepped forward. If it's not personal, he said, calm as the sea, why does every rule feel aimed at me? Silence. I follow the rules. I'm polite, but you still look at me like I'm dangerous. It's about optics, Rick mumbled. You mean the way I look, Jeremiah replied. He turned to the room. You're not scared of what I've done. You're scared of how I look. My height. My voice. My skin. A truth so raw, it silenced every clipboard. And from the back of the room, Mrs. Hernandez filmed every word. She posted the video that night. By dawn, 86,000 views. By lunch, trending worldwide. CNN, NBC, BuzzFeed, TikTok. The headline, 12-year OLD boy confronts HOA for discrimination. Karen resigned. Rick vanished. Internal emails leaked. One from Meredith read, the boy is just too big. Makes the cul-de-sac feel unsafe. No punctuation. No shame. The backlash was swift. The world had seen what happened when fear dressed up as policy. A month later, the HOA charter was rewritten. No member shall be profiled based on physical appearance. They called it Jeremiah's Clause. A week later, the neighborhood held a block party. Kids ran free. No laminated warnings. No stares. Jeremiah played basketball. Laughed. Free. Mrs. Hernandez hugged Eleanor. Your boy did what grown men couldn't. 2 months later, another knock. Same door. Same son. New face. Young HOA rep. We're hoping to speak with the adult. Jeremiah looked him in the eye. I am. This time, it wasn't defiance. It was fact. The rep blinked. Nodded. Left. Jeremiah turned and walked back to his mom. No words needed. He wasn't shrinking. He wasn't apologizing. He knew who he was. And finally, so did everyone else.